Welcome to the Welcome to the Karma Army. Names and details have been changed, but the justice? Every word of it is real. The letter arrived on a Thursday morning, 11 days after the accident. I remember opening it at the kitchen table with a mug of tea, reading the first paragraph, and then reading it again because I was certain I had missed something in the language. That somewhere in the formal structure of it, there was a clarification that would make the number make sense. There was no clarification. I had read it correctly the first time. The accident itself had been minor. A roundabout on the outskirts of town, a wet November morning, traffic backed up because of roadworks further along the ring road that were channeling two lanes into one. I was approaching the roundabout at no more than 15 miles per hour. The traffic ahead was stop-start, crawling, when the car in front slowed earlier than I'd anticipated. I braked, but I didn't stop in time. The contact was at low speed, perhaps 10 or 12 miles per hour by the point of impact. His rear bumper was visibly damaged. My front panel had a crease and one corner of the number plate had folded. It was, in the way of these things, entirely undramatic. The kind of collision that happens dozens of times across the country on any given wet morning. We both pulled over into a lay-by about 40 yards up the road. His name, as I would learn, was Owen. He got out of his car and walked around to the back of it to look at the damage. He walked normally. No stiffness, no favouring of one side, no slowing down. He made a phone call, leaning against the car with one shoulder, speaking and then listening. He scrolled on his phone for a couple of minutes. At one point, he laughed at something he was looking at on the screen, his head going back briefly. He raised the phone at arm's length and appeared to take photographs of the rear of his car. For the insurance claim, I assumed. We exchanged details without hostility. He was polite. I was polite. We spoke briefly about the roadworks. I noted his insurance information on my phone, took a photograph of his registration plate, and we drove away. I called my insurer that afternoon and reported the accident as I was required to do. I expected the usual process, an insurance exchange, a repair bill, several weeks of admin. I was mildly irritated about the front panel. That was the full extent of it. The letter from the personal injury law firm claimed £42,000 in damages on Owen's behalf. £42,000. For a collision at 15 miles per hour in which I had watched him walk normally around his car, laugh at his phone, and exchange pleasantries before driving away in apparently perfect health. The claim was detailed and formally constructed. It cited whiplash injuries of sufficient severity to require ongoing physiotherapy and specialist assessment. It cited psychological distress characterized as an acute stress response, manifesting in difficulty, sleeping, heightened anxiety, and an inability to travel in motor vehicles without significant distress. It cited an inability to perform his work responsibilities, with projected losses calculated across an extended period of incapacitation. The attached documentation included a medical assessment report from a private clinic arranged by the law firm, and a schedule that broke down the projected losses across each category of the claim. I sat with the letter for a while. Then I went out to my car and retrieved the SD card from the dashcam. I'd bought the dashcam the previous spring. It cost £49. It was a straightforward windscreen-mounted unit. Nothing sophisticated, adequate resolution, a loop recording function that overwrote old footage when the storage filled up. I'd largely forgotten it was there. It sat on the windscreen and ran quietly, and I gave it almost no thought. But the footage from the morning of the accident was still on the card, and I loaded it on my laptop. I watched it 3 times. The footage covered the final approach to the roundabout, the moment of contact, and the full 11 minutes we spent in the lay-by afterwards. It showed Owen getting out of his car within seconds of the impact and walking smoothly, without hesitation, without any visible difficulty whatsoever, around the back of his vehicle to look at the damage. It showed him standing upright with no sign of distress while he spoke on the phone. It showed him looking at his phone, scrolling through something for approximately 2.5 uninterrupted minutes. It showed him laughing, clearly, unmistakably, at something on the screen. He was not holding his neck. He was not rubbing his shoulder. He was not grimacing, wincing, moving carefully, or exhibiting any visible indication of pain or physical distress of any kind. He was a man standing in a lay-by on a wet morning, looking at his phone and laughing, 11 minutes after a low-speed collision that he would later describe, under legal process, as causing significant whiplash injury, acute psychological distress, and an extended inability to work. I sent the footage to my insurer that afternoon. The claims handler I was assigned was a woman named Karen. She was experienced, precise, and spoke with the calm efficiency of someone who has dealt with exactly this kind of claim many times and knows exactly what to do with it. She told me the footage was useful and that the claim would be reviewed carefully by the investigation team. She asked, in passing, whether Owen's social media profiles were publicly visible. I said I believed they were. She made a note and told me the team would look into it. Over the following weeks, I was copied in on correspondence as the claim moved through its internal review process. I found myself reading each piece of correspondence more carefully than I have ever read an insurance letter in my life. Owen's social media accounts were entirely public. The investigation team's findings were methodical. 17 days after the accident, Owen had posted a photograph showing him carrying a bookcase up a flight of stairs, arms extended upward, clearly bearing the full weight of the piece of furniture, with a caption about helping a friend move house. 22 days after the accident, there was a photograph from a five-a-side football pitch. He was not watching from the touchline. He was on the pitch, in kit, mid-stride, mid-match, clearly active and moving freely. 31 days after the accident, a concert photograph showed him standing in a crowd with both arms raised, the post noting that the set had run for 2 hours. The man who had filed a claim citing whiplash, psychological distress, and an inability to work had been photographed carrying furniture upstairs, playing football at pace, and standing with his arms raised for a 2-hour concert, all within 5 weeks of the accident. He was claiming had significantly impaired his physical and psychological function. The claim was reviewed and reduced. The initial figure of £42,000 came down to £28,000. Then, after the social media evidence was formally entered into the review process, it was reduced again to £14,000. I want to describe the particular quality of watching that happen because it is unlike most forms of satisfaction I have experienced. It is quiet. It is gradual. It is the feeling of watching something built on nothing be slowly returned to nothing, in stages, by the weight of its own absence of foundation. 42 to 28, 28 to 14. Each reduction was its own small confirmation that the evidence was doing exactly what evidence is supposed to do. Then the claim was withdrawn entirely. Karen called when the withdrawal came through. She was professional and measured, as she had been throughout, but there was something in her tone that told me she was satisfied. She told me the file would be referred to the Insurance Fraud Bureau. I asked her what that meant in practical terms. The Insurance Fraud Bureau is a not-for-profit organisation funded by the UK insurance industry. It maintains a shared database of suspected fraudulent activity. The database is accessible to insurers across the sector. A flag on that database does not expire, does not disappear, and is not confined to the insurer that submitted it. When Owen next applies for motor insurance, or home insurance, or any other insurance product, that flag will be visible to the underwriter reviewing his application. Coverage may be refused. If it is offered, the premium will reflect the risk profile associated with a record marked for suspected fraud. The consequences of this do not end when the claim is closed. They travel with him. He didn't just lose the £42,000. He changed the terms of his relationship with the entire insurance market permanently, in a way he will keep encountering at inconvenient moments for the foreseeable future. I have thought a lot, since all of this, about the psychology of what Owen attempted. The confidence required to file a £42,000 personal injury claim for a minor roundabout collision at 15 miles per hour. To engage a solicitor, attend a private medical assessment, compile a projected loss schedule, and submit the whole construction formally, all while his social media was publicly visible, all while he had been photographed doing things entirely incompatible with the injuries described, all while a camera had been running on the windscreen of the car directly behind him for 11 minutes after the collision. The calculation, I think, was this: that the system is large and slow, that insurance companies prefer to settle rather than fight, that once official paperwork is filed with official numbers and a medical report attached, it generates its own momentum, and that the cost and effort of challenging a personal injury claim often exceeds the cost of simply paying it down. That calculation is not entirely wrong as a general proposition. Claims are settled every day for amounts that don't reflect the truth of what happened, because the truth is expensive to prove. I spoke to the claims handler Karen about this at one point during the process, about how common this kind of claim was, and whether the existence of dashcam footage was becoming a more significant factor in how claims were investigated. She was measured in her response, as she was about everything. She said that dashcam footage had changed the landscape of certain types of claim considerably, that it had made a category of fraud that had previously been difficult to challenge much more straightforward to address, that she saw footage like mine regularly now, and that it consistently did what it was supposed to do, which was simply record what actually happened, without editorializing, without error, without any interest in the outcome. What that calculation left out was the dashcam. 49 pounds, fitted to the windscreen with a suction mount, powered by the cigarette lighter socket, running quietly on every journey since the previous spring, without a moment of attention from me. On the morning of the accident, it recorded 11 minutes of footage that showed, simply and directly, the reality of Owen's physical state in the immediate aftermath of a collision he would later describe as causing him significant and lasting injury. It didn't require any particular intelligence on my part. It didn't require vigilance or preparation specific to that morning. I had simply bought a dashcam and fitted it, and it had done what dashcams do. I've upgraded since. Better resolution, wider angle, cloud backup. Worth every penny. But the original one, the basic, unremarkable 49-pound device that Owen almost certainly didn't notice or didn't think about, that one did everything it needed to. It sat there recording the truth, and then it made the truth available at exactly the moment it was needed. There is a lesson in that which extends well beyond dashcams. Preparation is quiet. It costs almost nothing in the period before it's needed. You pay for it once and forget about it, and it sits in the background of your life waiting for an occasion it may never have to meet. Most of the time, it never does. But the morning arrives, a wet roundabout, a letter with a number on it that doesn't make sense, and it turns out that the quiet, unremarkable, entirely forgettable preparation was the most important thing you ever did. 49 pounds. That is the precise amount it cost to make a 42,000-pound lie entirely impossible to sustain. I am part of the karma army. And if you have ever been on the receiving end of someone who thought the system was simply theirs to gain, who filed the paperwork, wrote the letter, expected the payout, and genuinely believed that no one was really watching, then you know exactly why we tell these stories. Subscribe. Leave a comment. 42,000 pounds reduced to nothing for the cost of a dashcam.